shitty.
Coming up on French Kiss.
No, but I was referring to when my sister told you if we ever break up, you guys would stay friends.
Yeah, I decided to marry you, to marry a man who happens to have a family, and it's my choice to decide on the closeness, the intimacy I want to have with his family. When our kid is gonna be a teenager, and they're gonna bring someone at home that we don't like.
Social obligations that make it so maybe sometimes we feel like we can't be honest. Which is hard.
But we can.
But if you can't be honest, then there's no real relationship with your in-laws.
We don't like social obligation. We don't like them.
No, we do not.
I mean, I don't.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on today's episode of French Kiss about in-laws. We talked about a lot of things, a lot of touchy things, including social obligations, unconditional love.
Your mom.
We talked a lot about my mom. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to
French Kiss.
Hello, how are you doing today? That was a terrible start. How are you today?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Amazing. You looking forward to this episode?
Oh yes, big time.
Amazing. All right, so I'm gonna try to be brief in this little intro. This is going to be a bit of an awkward one, actually, because
An awkward intro or episode?
Awkward episode. Because, as the title mentions, we are going to be talking about our in-laws, who, unlike our exes from the last episode, we know for certain listen to this podcast. we know for a fact that they listen to this podcast, so we will be talking about them, to them, sort of.
Yeah.
We're going to try to not let that influence our conversation, our responses, because we're not here to criticize. We're not here to throw judgment. We're here to speak of our experiences and how we've felt
Nice.
with our respective in-laws. So
Nice.
yeah, it's not gonna be about them. It's gonna be about how we feel about them.
Yeah.
Which
I promise you, Sophie, that I'm not gonna spend the entire episode venting about you.
Sophie being my mother, for those who don't know. Now let me just start off by saying that one of the things that I love about our relationship is how we always try to understand each other's perspectives. We always try to walk a mile in each other's shoes, as we say. And when it comes to in-laws, and I think this is truer for me than it is for you, it means sometimes recognizing that the people that we love unconditionally, which is a big theme in this episode, might at times do things that the other person doesn't fully appreciate. And it doesn't mean that that's a personal attack against me or you or against my family. It's just something that, a feeling that you're expressing, and it is what it is. And it's not an attack. So that was something that we've had to work on. And I think that's something we're going to get into on this episode.
Amazing.
Yeah. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So without further ado, here's the first question. My first question to you, Zoe,
Yes.
is Zoe Superville, actually, which is the name of my family, which is the same last name as your in-laws.
Yeah.
What was your first impression of my family, and what struck you as being the most different from your family? Is that clear? Like, what's the thing about my family that immediately you were like, okay, this isn't like my family? And what were your first impressions, too? Yeah. You like this question?
Yeah. Because it's so clear to me.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, you loud.
Okay.
No, okay, but like I have to explain. I come from a family where we don't speak. We don't like, we are silent. We are taciturn.
I don't know if that's a word.
Taciturn.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're like
Taiseux.
meek.
Taiseux.
Is maybe a word. Okay.
In French, we say c'est une famille de taiseux.
Yeah, you're not very loud.
You don't speak. You don't
much.
speak about your emotions. We avoid conflict. You don't. I'm not used to that.
There's a lot of silent treatments going on.
A lot of silent treatment, exactly. Yeah. And in your family, you communicate. You yell a lot.
So maybe we're like on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah, but at least there is communication,
Mm.
And so yeah, that was one of my first impressions I had, and also you're a very close family. Like you put effort and intention into keeping the bond,
Yeah,
garder le lien,
the bond, yeah.
the bond
The
that you
bond
have.
yeah.
Like you, even though everybody is at a different place on the planet, you make an effort to see each other every now and then for family gathering, holidays and stuff. You have like a WhatsApp family group chat where everyone shares every details of their life.
I don't think that's so uncommon.
I know, but I don't have that.
Okay.
Most of the families have that, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And even if it depends, sometimes it's just like the close family, sometimes it's bigger groups.
I have both.
Yeah. You have all of them. And now I'm part of it.
Yeah,
because
you
we're
are.
married, so I'm into the...
As soon as you proposed, you were allowed in the circle.
Yeah, that's so funny. Like, it's a rule.
We had to make it official. Yeah. Well, it's more of we don't want to get to a point where we have to kick somebody out of a chat. It'd be awkward. It was more.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, I understand. But yeah, the thing is that I don't have that. I never had that. I will never have, because I'm not close to my family at all. Like I don't have this proximity, this intimacy with my family that you have.
Yep.
So that's the big difference for me,
I think from what I know of your family, I think I don't know what it's like living in a family where, because your parents split up when you were very, very young.
Yeah, when I was 6.
When you were 6. And obviously this isn't the case for every, like I have a friend, their parents split up, but they stayed very close friends and they would go on family trips together, all 4 of them. Yeah, but I know that that made it so for you kind of felt like there were 2 sides to your family.
Oh, yes.
Because
all
your
the
parents
time.
weren't close.
No, they're still mad at each other.
Right.
Today. Still.
So yeah, maybe that created sort of like a separation inside of your family.
Yeah.
Like a literal,
Yeah, but even though I could be close to my father side and close to my mother's side, I'm not. Like, neither of them.
Right.
You're
not particularly...
No.
Yeah.
My brother left. Like, it's broken. You know what I mean? There is almost nothing left, I would say.
Damn.
No, but that's true. Like, I don't.
Yeah, no,
I don't call my like, I don't talk to my father anymore. I don't call my mother. Like, you call your family all the time.
And they would say I don't call them that much.
Yeah.
Like, you think I call them a lot, but they feel like, yeah, I don't call them that much.
Yeah, they are big FaceTime fans in this family, which I'm not used to. Like, I only FaceTime with you.
Yeah, I love FaceTime because I feel like there's a lot. That's why we're recording these podcast episodes. I feel like there's a lot that's told through facial expressions.
Yeah. No, I understand. So I would say, yeah, the intimacy, the bond, the closeness that you have with your family is the big difference for me. I'm not close to my family. Okay,
that's a good question. That's a good answer. Thank you, and a good question, I guess. It's a good both.
I'm so good.
Okay. Here's my next question: is your relationship with my family different? I actually don't think I know this answer very well, so I'm intrigued to see what you will say. Is your relationship with my family different from the relationship you had with your ex's families? If so, why do you think that is?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, my first ex, I didn't have a relationship with his family. Like, we spent 3 years and a half together.
We're talking about Bilal?
Yes. So I could have the time, to develop a relationship with them. But it was already very complicated between the two of us.
Did you not meet them for like religious, cultural reasons or?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because he was Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And so in his culture, if you're dating someone,
You have to.
you have to marry
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Like the. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this relationship was a total nonsense from the beginning until the end. It was super unhealthy, super toxic. So I think I met his mother and his father maybe like once.
Okay. Like in passing.
Yeah.
Were you introduced as the girlfriend or were you a friend?
No, I was the girlfriend, but it was super awkward. I remember.
Okay.
Hated it.
Okay. And how does that differ with?
But then there was Edwin.
Oh.
And with Edwin, we were best friends before being together. So I spent a lot of time at his house with his family. And I remember they were super sweet, super loving, super welcoming. And I loved them. But my relationship with them is super different than the one I have with yours now, because I didn't commit myself in this relationship with Edwin.
Did he have siblings?
Yeah, when older brother.
Okay.
And we got along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that's also the biggest difference is I don't know that you dated anybody with a sister.
Yeah, never.
And you're like
Never.
best friends with my sister.
Yeah, like the most beautiful thing. I mean, no, not the most. I mean, I married you. That's the most beautiful thing. But I have a little bonus with it. Is that I have a new best friend.
Mm.
So, but I think about the day we met with your sister in Bergerac the first summer, and I don't remember exactly how it went.
Well,
And
she was with her boyfriend at the time that we weren't
Yeah,
particularly close to, so maybe that.
Yeah, but I don't remember being not close to her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's this kind of relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super natural, super quick.
Yeah. It grew over time.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't commit myself in my relationship with Edwin as much as I am committing to our relationship today. So of course it makes a difference with the relationship with the family.
Right.
And also I spent less time with them. You know, I'm spending a lot of time with your family because I'm not close to mine.
Mm.
It gives us more time, you know,
Right.
to spend time with yours.
Yeah, we don't really have the conversation of who are we spending Christmas.
Yeah.
With which family are we spending Christmas?
Yeah. And they've also been very welcoming, and we do a bunch of stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the difference.
Okay. Now my next question is a subject that we've talked about a lot throughout our relationship, and it's something that we sort of go back and forth on because I don't think we have the answer to this question. But how do you feel about the notion of unconditional love in families? And the question I ask, and the reason I ask this question is because I know that we both, when we started this relationship, had a very different perspective on this. Mm-hmm. And I think it defined our relationship with our families. And I had this very strong thing of, well, you have to unconditionally love your family. And I think, you know, it the fact that I'm so close to my family plays a role in that. But also it can lead to codependency a lot of the times. Because, you know, there's this thing where you will forgive everything that your family does.
Yeah.
And obviously it's good to forgive for yourself, but you can't let everything slide just because it's your family. Mm-hmm. And there are things that are just unhealthy for you. And if you have to keep some distance for yourself.
Are you answering for me?
I'm sorry. I wanted to contextualize why this has to do with our in-laws.
Yeah.
Because it was something that you had to, you know, recalibrate or look at differently when you met my family, because I had this very protective thing of like, they're my family. I love them no matter what. And you were like, yeah, but
family
it doesn't
first.
mean family first. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry, that wasn't my answer to the question, but that was why I asked this question.
Okay.
So, how do you feel about the notion of unconditional love in families?
Okay.
Zoe, take it away.
I would say I have quite a hard time with this way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, like, yeah, family first doesn't work for me at all. But it, of course, comes from the fact that I'm not close to them and I don't feel valued with them and emotionally secure and all these things.
Mm.
So that's why I decided to take some distance from them. And I understand how family can be super important and precious, but it shouldn't be like
The
any
detriment.
cost,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes family can be hurtful, family members can be hurtful, and if you stick with them, if you just like, let it pass and don't do anything about it, then you can become super unhappy and miserable and just not, being treated how you should be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, there is this saying, blood is thicker than water,
Yeah.
meaning that family relationships will always be stronger, and so will always come first.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't agree with that at all. I remember water being here more often than blood,
Yeah.
And but it's very interesting because so this is my take on, family. But of course, when you in a relationship and you have a partner who has other visions, other values, you have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And since you're very close to them, and I mean, I think you changed a bit your perspective on that. But yeah, like I feel that at the beginning it was family first. Like it is the way it is. It cannot change. This is how everybody
Operates.
operates. So this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And in general in life, I like questioning things and putting things in perspective. Since it's your family and you decide to act a certain way, I will support you, and be with you in it. It doesn't mean that I necessarily 100% agree on it. And this closeness, as you said, can sometimes be unhealthy as well. But yeah, you do you, I do me, and we try to meet halfway.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is something that we could talk about for ages and debate on forever because, I mean, I truly believe that there is beauty to this notion of unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
That like, but I also think that there's a difference between loving somebody and allowing them to do whatever they want
Mm-hmm.
without saying anything.
Yeah.
And I think I sometimes confuse the two.
Mm.
I think it's hard for me to confront people. I think it's really hard for me to confront my own family for fear of judgment, for fear of rejection. I think that growing up as the youngest one also led this thing of like, well, he's like the little funny one who like makes us laugh. But, as much as I like grew into my own and I feel like obviously I have my own personality and my own thoughts and stuff. And maybe this is why I grew up a little like you, questioning everything, because I never felt like my opinion was taken as seriously as the grown-ups, which I think is a typical thing when you're the youngest, And so I always felt like, okay, I'm not the one who's gonna confront and tell people things because my opinion is invalid and isn't legitimate. So I think that that's why I grew up with that sense. So there's that, but I totally agree with you that you can't let everything slide. And yeah, some family relationships can be toxic. And this is something that I see a lot on social media of like people saying that they broke off ties with their parents because their parents were toxic. Parents are human beings. Parents are people that can be horrible people. I mean, the amount of documentaries on Netflix about parents like being these like satanic human beings towards their children, like it exists. So how can we put judgment on people who have decided to cut ties with their parents when it's clearly the better thing with that for them?
Yeah.
And a lot of people defend that as like, but they're your parents. You can't
Oh,
just
yeah.
do that. It's like, no.
Oh, who invented
This
this is my nightmare.
And what's crazy, and this brings it back to our multicultural perspectives. I think that this is something that exists in every culture,
Yeah.
in every country, where it's this thing of like, as you said, blood is thicker than water. It exists everywhere.
But in other cultures, sometimes it's even stronger.
Yeah.
Like in Asia, they like the 3 generations live in the same house, and there's this thing about you have to respect your elders.
Yeah.
Elders.
And they have to have priority over other people in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Why? I want to jump back.
Yeah.
On what you said, like, yeah, but come on, this is your father, this is your family. You owe them everything. No, you don't owe them anything.
Yeah.
They decided to have children. They put you on planet Earth.
They owe you everything.
They owe you everything.
Yeah.
And this is super guilt tripping, this kind of sentences. I know my take on this is that no matter if it's a family member or not, you have the right to protect yourself and to put boundaries, and if it's necessary, to take distance from people who threaten your emotional or physical well-being and stability.
And I also
Period.
I also think it's really important to highlight the fact that, because the listeners probably don't know, you struggle with guilt a lot.
Oh, yeah.
In regards to this. It's not like it was like a...
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's not an easy thing. Like every now and then, of course, I'm thinking about my parents, and I'm like, okay, so we don't have a relationship. They all alone. It might be hard for them, but it's hard for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this wasn't a decision prise à la légère.
Yeah, taken lightly.
Taken lightly, yeah. It's for my own well-being. But did I answer your question?
You did.
Yeah.
It was a very good answer. All right, moving on to the next question, which sort of ties back to unconditional love a little bit. I don't know if it does. I know that you have a 0 lie policy, which I love. It's very good. You never lie.
It's just, it's not a policy. It's just that I cannot lie. I cannot fake it.
Yeah, you're a terrible liar, which is great for me. But you sometimes would rather be honest than polite.
Yeah.
Which it took me a while, because I always have to be polite. Like, I want people to love me so much that I'll always choose politeness over...
Some people pleasing here?
Yeah, I'm the biggest people pleaser ever. For example, I'll give a little anecdote, is sometimes your mom will give you a gift, and this was like, I think we had only been dating for a couple of months, and she gave you a gift, and I was like, I don't remember the last time my mom just gave me a gift for no reason. She's gotten better at it. I'm not saying she should, but it was just, I was surprised. I was like, this is amazing. She gave you a gift, and you opened it, and you were like, oh. And I remember being shocked, because I was like, she just went out of her way to get you a present. Turns out that there was a lot going on in that reaction.
The thing is that it triggers something in me. It makes me unseen and unheard and understood, because it's been like years that she's giving me gifts that I don't like.
Yeah.
So I feel like you don't know me.
Right.
You don't know what I like, and you don't want to make an effort. You just think something.
Right. But from my perspective, I was like, she is making an effort because she got you something, which is like, it's the thought that counts. But after years of feeling like she doesn't see you, I understand how that made you feel. But in that moment, I was a bit shocked, but I also appreciated your honesty because I would never in a million years be able to be like, oh, yeah, I don't love this gift. Because, like, you know, I would focus on the fact that they got me a gift, which I think a lot of people would do that. But yeah, I mean, it's not always the right move. I the reason I bring this up is I want to know how has that affected your relationship with my family, because I don't think my mom especially was used to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think over time it actually was for the better.
Yeah. So first of all, this is super interesting because for me, I would rather be honest and hurt people's feelings rather than being dishonest, but like building a fake relationship or
Yeah. Brushing in the direction of the hair, as we say in French.
yeah, you don't
Or
have an English one?
people pleasing, I think, is the
People,
closest
yeah,
thing.
people pleasing. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, with your mom, with your family, but with your mom especially, we had some difficulties at the beginning, let's say.
Well, I think she was a bit taken aback because she would get you things, and you were like, "Yeah, I don't."
Yeah, it happened like I don't know, once or twice, but I decided to be honest about it, which is not easy. Again, the guilt.
But you did show appreciation for the
Of
gift.
course,
Yeah.
of course, I'm super appreciative in general. I'm very triggered with my mom, but it's something else.
Yeah.
But like, if you ask me if I like it or not, I will not lie, because then the message is that you believe that I like that, so you believe that I have a certain taste, which is untrue. So you don't really know me, and I don't feel that we are, like building something together, like real, like a real connection.
Right.
And so of course she was a bit
Taken aback.
yeah, and I understand why. But today what it created is that when I tell her that I like something, she knows that it's for real, that it's true, and she knows my tastes better. She understands me better. I understand her better. Like, everything flows better.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there is just more authenticity and honesty in our relationship.
Yeah, and I don't think that goes just for your taste and what you like. I think that you were also honest about certain times wanting, some space or
Putting some boundaries.
putting some boundaries. You were very honest about that, and I think that helped her too, because she doesn't feel like she has to tiptoe around you.
Yeah.
Because you were very clear. So the next time she's like, oh, okay, well, I know what she needs.
Yeah.
And I think that makes her feel better about your relationship with her as well.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I feel that our relationship with your mom changed a lot
Over time, yeah.
over time, and for the better. And it's amazing. And I feel like it's one of the person I can have these conversations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel that your mom is the kind of person who can question herself and do some introspections. So she allows me, to have this kind of conversations with her.
Yeah, she's curious enough to like engage with you about
Yeah.
maybe her shortcomings or, things that you guys are struggling with.
So this is something I'm working on. So this is something I'm working on and I'm really proud of, because I really see the differences in my relationships today. But now I think that I have to let space to people do the same with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like I cannot take any criticism or anything, but maybe I have this posture, or I can be like people often say that their first impression of me is that I can be very intimidating, you know? So maybe that doesn't give the desire, to share these things with me.
Yeah, you feel like this like wall that you're putting up maybe makes people feel like they can't be honest with you.
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
but I would love them to be honest with
Yeah.
me too,
Yeah.
I really think it's how we build a
Yeah.
relationship.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing that, I mean, that's why we could talk about the whole in-laws situation forever, because there's all these little things of like social obligations that come with yeah, social obligations that make it so maybe sometimes we feel like we can't be honest. Which is hard,
but
but
we
if you
can.
but if you can't be honest, then there's no real relationship with your in-laws. And it's difficult to navigate
Yeah,
that.
like I grew up with this idea, like super cliche, that exists between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law. That it's always a super complicated and conflictual relationship. Like in every movies, it's always depicted that way, and that sucks. That's
Yeah, it does
bad.
suck. Yeah.
Like yes, you can say things if you put the form, if you put the manners.
But here's the thing. I think both sides need to be open to it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you could have. I'm not to like praise my mom. She's amazing, but I think that you could have dated somebody who like would take that really badly and
Yeah.
wouldn't even be open
That's
to
true.
your perspective. But at the same time, my mom could have been faced with like a yes woman who doesn't create maybe a connection with her at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I love seeing your guys' relationship grow. I know sometimes it was maybe hard for you to set certain boundaries. But yeah, I think it's amazing because you guys really work at it, and it's not just like, this natural. We joke a lot. I don't know. We joke a lot about you guys becoming best friends all of a sudden.
No, you said, "Is this our new best friend?"
Is this our new best friend? Yeah. Well, because I think things grew and we talked about things and we were honest about things, and things weren't maybe super easy, but they tend to go in the right direction when you're just honest and open and don't let social obligations get in the way.
Yeah, we don't like social obligation. We don't like them.
No, we do not.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to our last question.
Ok.
Attends, ma chérie. Dis OK. Bon, je vais redire.
33. Et sachant qu'on avait fait ça 5 minutes. Ok.
Ouais, un petit épisode plus court peut-être.
Trop bien.
All right, I'm gonna move on to our last question.
Ok.
All right. Because we will be parents soon, as we know.
As we know.
Are there things you already know you'll want to do differently with our kids' partners? If they decide to date. Maybe they don't want to date.
Yeah.
But if they build a life with someone,
Wow.
could you like imagine things where you're like, yeah, I think that's how I would want to do that.
Yeah. Wow. Right now, I'm thinking about their freedom. Their.
I mean, it's also hard to project because we haven't spent 18 years of our lives with this child and then see them go off. I think that's the hardest thing for a parent.
Yes.
Is that you're like, you raise them to be the person that they are. And then when they start a new family, it's like, okay, they have to. And okay, wait.
I'm useless now.
And to bring it back to my mom, who, when I said that it wasn't always easy, I think the hardest thing for her was the fact that she sensed very quickly that you weren't as family oriented as I was. And this had to do with your family situation. But I think that my mom was terrified that you would sort of infect me with this thought of like, family doesn't always come first. And she thought that she maybe might lose me because we wanted to go build our own thing separately from my family, and that we didn't want anything to do with my family, which isn't the case. But I think that I'm asking you this question of how you would want to do things differently. I'm saying, I'm not necessarily saying we'll be good at them, but are there things that you're striving to be as a good in-law, essentially?
That's funny because yesterday you told me a funny funny thing. You said, when our kid is 6, I'm ready for them to leave the house.
I want to I want to anticipate. I'm terrified of the moment where I'm going to be like, I think I'll be pretty good at it, but I'm also very scared of being super jealous of them leaving the nest. And jealous is the wrong word, but jealous of other people having, you know what I mean?
Okay, I understand.
I'm trying to preemptively avoid that by saying that as soon as they're like cognitive enough to like lead their own lives and go out and have fun on their own, which is around 6, 7, I'm ready for them. I'm going to start preparing myself mentally for like, okay, they're going off into the world without me. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And in that case, I'll have 10 years before.
That's funny. I don't right now. I don't think that way, but it will suddenly hit me in the face when they will be here. You know. But no, like my natural answer to this is that giving them as much freedom and space as they needed, and not project anything on them, not wanting them to be a certain way, and so just like living their life, having the relationships they want to have, and if they want to integrate us in this, I would be super happy. But if they don't want to, it's their choice as well. You know, I don't want to put pressure on them. Yeah, I just want them to, like, if we have done a good job, I think they will want to share with us.
Right.
They will want us to take part of it.
Yeah, we won't have to like implicate ourselves. That's another fine line, which is that like, at what point do you like put yourself in there to know that you're there for them and will always be there for them, and at what point do you like not be there in order to let them know that it's okay for them to go out on their own?
Yeah.
And I think that's the case for like when they start a new family. It's like you want to be there for them, and that's kind of what we're experiencing with the baby. Is that my family? They're sort of dealing with like, okay, we want them to know that we're there for them, and if they need help with the baby, we'll be there for them. But at the same time, they know that okay, they need their space as a family. So it's like it's a hard thing to balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm thinking about a specific situation, like, you know, where when our kid is gonna be a teenager, and they're gonna bring someone at home that we don't like, or that we know for a fact that is not good for them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you can clearly see it.
Sure.
From
Like
our
red flag
perspective.
on red flag on red flag. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be hard for me to deal with that.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I think the best way to deal with that is to tell yourself they need this experience.
Of course.
It's super important for
Of
them
course.
to know what a red flag is, and you won't know what a red flag is until you've experienced a red flag.
Exactly.
And the sooner the better.
And we're gonna be
We're
here
gonna
for them.
Be there for them, exactly.
Be there for them.
If they need to talk about it, we've experienced red flags. We've been red flags, so we'll be like, hey.
We've been red flags.
We've been
indeed.
Red flags, yeah.
We still are, maybe.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, I just don't want to, I want them to be free.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I know another thing that parents have to deal with is the loss of when they break up. Like when your kid breaks up with somebody that you really liked, like that's rough.
Oh yeah, that makes me think about Edwin.
Yeah.
When I broke up with him,
Uh-huh.
it was so hard for me. I felt so much guilt and again towards his family.
Oh, his family.
Yeah, because they were super nice with me.
Oh.
And like he was close to his family as well, and I know he told them everything about me.
Yeah.
For ages, so they had a lot of faith in
Yeah.
this relationship. And yeah, I was devastated, but more because of his family than because of our relationship,
I know you don't believe in this, but when you break up with somebody, you also break up with your in-laws. I mean, I don't think that you don't believe this, but you don't like the term because it's like you're not dating the in-laws. But yeah, you said, and I know that my sister.
Your brother.
And
Your brother told me this.
what did he?
Nico.
I thought it was my sister.
Yeah, no, in Bordeaux, in the tramway. He was like, you're marrying Loic, so you're marrying the entire family. The
Oh,
whole
yeah.
Suberville family.
That's not what I was saying, but yeah. Tell us about that, please.
And I was like, no, that's not true. He was like, I'm sorry, but yes. And I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah.
like, no, I decided to marry you, to marry a man who happens to have a family. And it's my choice to decide on the closeness, the intimacy I want to have with his family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's what I mean by I don't think you believe in this.
No, I don't believe in this. And one of your friends, she was like, "Oh, you're entering the Suberville territory."
Oh,
like,
man.
yeah, you can be a lot, you
Yeah.
know, you can be a full country.
No, but I was referring to when my sister told you. What did she say? If we ever break up, you guys would stay friends
Yeah,
because you've become friends outside of our relationship.
yeah,
You know, a lot of the times with your in-laws, it's like you're close to them by proximity of the person you're with. But I mean, you guys, you did Burning Man together. You go on trips together on your own. You have sleepovers. Like,
bye bye.
yeah, go have fun. So yeah, but that is, I remember once I dated this girl in high school, and she was French. I think she was the first 100% French girl I ever dated, and my mom loved her
Because she was French.
because she was French mostly, but also because she was like, you know, she was a very good student. She was very polite, very nice. She was all the things you want your daughter-in-law to be.
What?
And French. And I remember that breakup was really rough on my mom. It was really hard. She kept talking to her mom, like they were talking between themselves. And yeah, I think part of them was hoping that we'd get back together. I remember that was really tough on my mom. And then I found another French woman, and I married her. So we're good. We're good, Mom. Yeah. But yeah, that's something we have to deal with. Is like it's out of our control, you know.
Exactly.
And we could never. I know parents do this, and I think it's a little bit problematic. We could never reach out to that person and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
how you doing?"
That's
Unfortunately, it's yeah. I mean, it's got to be. It can't be easy because I mean, you care for that person. You almost treat them as like a daughter or a son or whatever as your own child because they're it's your kid and the person they're dating. So you want to be good to them, and then all of a sudden it's like no, bye,
yeah.
no more. You
No.
create this bond with this person, and they're no longer a part of your life. It can't be easy.
Can be easy, indeed.
All right. Well, this was a shorter episode than usual, but I think it's good to vary it.
It feels good.
Yeah, it feels good.
You're gonna be able to listen to it while you're doing your commute.
Yeah, if your commute is less than an hour, this will be perfect for
Yeah, we're thinking about you guys. This is for you.
you. All right. Well, thank you so much for your answers, Zoe. I had a great time.
Yeah, me too. And it was less awkward.
It was less
unexpected.
awkward than expected. I agree. It
The
wasn't too bad.
in-laws episode.
It wasn't too bad. We'll be able to have dinner with our in-laws this week. If we want to. No social obligation to do it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you had a good time, and we hope to see you guys next week on the next episode of French Kiss.